When I was using, I was the most logical person I knew. I had an answer for everything. Turns out that was the whole problem. See, using isn't just behaviors. It's not random. It's the way we see the world because we're acting out of how we see things. You could say we're acting out of lenses that we see. And so before anybody can get sober, to get really sober, you have to be able to name the mental framework that made using make sense in the first place. You can't really change what you won't identify. That makes sense, right? You can't change unless you identify it. So that's what this is all about. We're not starting out with sobriety. I wish we could, but we're starting out what was already happening. What's already going on before you picked up anything. There was a system and a way of thinking that was established before we started using. And that system kept running way after you got going. So I've been in recovery 40 years. I've watched hundreds of people come through our program. And the ones who don't make it, it's almost never because they don't want it bad enough. They do. Some people really want it. But it's because they never got honest about the way they were thinking. They never got honest about the way they were thinking and how they were thinking, where these things come from. So that's what we're going to get into. The first thing that characterizes the using mind, and I really want you to hear this, is that it doesn't feel like a using mind. Well, at least not from the inside. It feels absolutely, completely, and utterly, and totally normal. It feels rational. And it feels like everybody else has the problem. So that's number one. We call it denial. But denial, it's not stupid. It's not being dumb, right? It's about survival. Your mind built a system of beliefs to protect you from the truth that was too painful to look directly at. And that's the problem. That's where the problem is. Survival lies cannot help you build a life. You know the one. What are survival lies? Here they are. No one knows the trouble I've been through. I can stop whenever I want. It's not that bad. They're all, they feel true. You know, it feels true. I can really do this. You know, your best intention. You judge yourself by your intentions, but other people by what they actually do. But it feels true at the moment. Every one of them made complete and utter sense. But that's why denial is so dangerous. The lie comes with its own evidence. The second thing the using mind does is, and this might step on some toes, but hey, that's what I do. Addiction is the most self-centered operating system on the planet. Now, before you get defensive, I'm not saying anyone's evil. I'm just saying you're super duper focused, right? Because that's exactly what it is. You're focused. Your entire world got organized around this one question. And that is, how do I feel right now? And how do I change it? So everything is, so self-centeredness is, how do I feel right now? And how do I change that right now? Everything got run through that filter. Every relationship got run through that filter. Every decision, every conversation. What does this do for me? WIIFM. What's in it for me? It's all about me, right? People in your life stopped being people. And they became resources, things to use to get what you needed. And when the cravings went online, your empathy went offline every single time. And that's why we do so many silly things, right? It's not a character flaw. It's an operating system. It's like you don't have a choice. The operating system is doing exactly what it's designed and what it's supposed to do. The problem is you can't build a real life on that foundation. Now, number 3. And this third one is probably the most important one I'm going to say all day. The using person has an answer for everything. Ask them why they used, and they'll tell you. Ask them why they lost their job, And they'll tell you, ask them why the relationship fell apart. And they'll definitely tell you that one. Usually it's the other person. The problem is none of those answers involve looking in the mirror. Blame the family, blame the system, blame the economy, blame the dog, blame the cat, blame the past, right? Consequences become proof that life is unfair. And resentment becomes the fuel that you live on. Now, here's what I learned after 40 years of recovery. Excuses are cheaper than accountability. Blame is easier than change. But here's what blame costs you. It keeps you exactly where you are because if anything went wrong, it's somebody else's fault. And then you have to wait for somebody else to fix it. Let me run that again. Blame, here's what it costs, is that it keeps you exactly where you are in life. So if we're blaming somebody, unless they change, I can't move forward. And that's a dangerous place to be. Because if everything goes wrong, we have to become responsible for what we do. And that's the only way this is going to get fixed. If you're waiting for someone else so you can change, you're going to wait a long time. Number 4, the using mind cannot afford long-term thinking. And you know why? Because long-term thinking produces guilt. And if you let yourself think about where this is going, really going, the whole system breaks down. So the brain learns to live in a 20-minute window. I think I'll deal with that tomorrow. Just this once. After this, I'll quit. But you know what? Tomorrow never comes. You know that. I know that. But in that moment, getting what you want and getting that quick fix is all that matters. And then real consequences, they just become, it's like they become abstract, or they just become a thing that we can't even think about, that we can't even process at the time. And that's the trade. It's a trade-off every single time. We trade off what we really want for instant gratification. So we need to delay gratification. Delayed gratification, really, sometimes it's a foreign language. You lose the ability to make a decision based on what you want to be, because where you are right now is screaming so loud, I have to have relief. I have to have it. Instead of understanding that, hey, what's really important? It's not a weakness. It's just a trained response. And if you trained yourself to act, to feel and then act, you can train yourself to do something different. Your brain just got really good at doing something that unfortunately was destroying you, which means you can get really good at something that's going to build you up, right? Yes. All right. Last one. Shame. Shame drives secrecy. Secrecy drives isolation. And that's really what I want to talk about, is the isolation. It's the dark room where addiction grows without interruption. Nobody can know the real me. That's the operating principle. So you build a second life. You become a second person. A managed version of who you want to show people. Not the real you, because that person is locked away. Because authentic relationships are scary. Because being authentic might require someone to know the real you. And if someone knew the real you, they may reject you. So we're just not going to do that. Throw the mask on. And after a while, you forget who you are. I watched people come through our program who have been performing so long, and they've been doing this so long, they just forget who they are. They say, I don't even know who I am anymore. I've been putting on this performance for so long, right? This is all part of a using mentality, a using way of thinking. And it's not because we're bad. It's because we've been hiding so long that any kind of honesty, it just really feels like a threat. It becomes a double life. A double life becomes normal. There's the real you that you protect, and then there's the one that you show everybody else. And the longer it goes on, the more it costs to maintain. So let's name what we just did. We just looked at 5 ways, 5 things the using mind operates. Self-deception, self-centeredness, victim mentality, short-term thinking, and isolation. Now, I want to be clear about something. This isn't an attack. I'm not attacking anybody. Right? It's just when you want to make a change, the first thing you have to do is get honest. And so we need to be honest about what's going on, right? We have to come to the conclusion that it's not them and it's me. It's always me. It's always me. No matter what's going on, no matter what the situation is, right? It's always me. The reason most people don't get well is because they're trying to change their behavior without examining what's going on underneath. It's like when you go out and you pull weeds in the summertime and you pull the dandelion, but if you don't get the root, the dandelion just comes back. It's never left. It's still there. And so again, you can't change what you won't identify. So I don't want you to think about, who needs this or who this applies to. I want you to really understand this is all of us. It's all of us. All of us do this. And it's just a part of a using mentality. It's something we learn to do, something and if we can identify those things and we can really get that, then I think we can undo it. But if we don't take the time to understand using mentality and how that affects us, then I don't think we stand a chance at moving forward, right? Because when we have to take this inventory, we have to know what we're dealing with before we move ahead. Otherwise, it's just like, what's that saying? Like putting lipstick on a pig. It's just like doing that. It's just putting lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig, right? But when you understand what's causing that, what are the drivers, now you can take action on that. And when you attempt to change, it's really going to last. So this is Randy Stone Recovery. So glad you joined me. Till next time, God bless. See you soon.